Hi, and welcome back to Word Magic, and Kaylee's helping me today as I kick off a series of videos that I'm, for lack of a better title, calling my 5 Things series. And today we're going to be talking about 5 things I wish I would have known when I started into writing on a professional level. And so we will get started with that here in a moment. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so now. And hit that ringer bell below so you receive notifications about the new videos that come out, and we will get going here. For those of you who do not know who I am or aren't sure, I'm Yasmine Galenorn. I am a New York Times, USA Today, and Publishers Weekly bestselling author of over 65 books. And I spent 20 years in traditional publishing, and then mostly with New York publishers. And then I moved to indie 3 years ago, and I'm entering my 4th year in indie now, which is making me very happy. And yeah, I write urban fantasy and paranormal romance. So that's a little about me. This is Kaylee. She is one of my kitties. Some of you know who she is, others don't. She likes to help mom. So 5 things I wish I would have known when I started out. Now, bear in mind, I started out in the mid-90s professionally. My first contract I got when I was 35 in 1996. And things were a whole lot different. Most of it was done hard copy, through the mail, snail mail. I didn't even have a computer when I started out. I had one of those tiny little Brother word processors at the time. But having said that, a whole lot still pertains to today, even more so than it did then. So first on my list is, regardless of whether you're indie or trad, you will have to promote. You will have to market your work. The publishers aren't going to do it for you. They may do some, but they won't do a whole lot. And I guarantee you it's going to be less than you want. It's going to be less than you expected it to be. And it's going to feel very, very discouraging. So you have to get out there and promote and market and figure out how you want your books to reach the public, because you can't just magically write a book and toss it out there and hope that it suddenly hits the bestseller list. That doesn't happen. It really doesn't. A lot of the mega books are engineered to be mega books in terms of promotion and publication. The Chintz and China series, when I first started writing it, it didn't do very well. And I was lucky I got more contracts, because back then they were a little more forgiving and they were a little more willing to take a chance on you if they liked your work, even if it didn't sell well. Chintz and China series, they didn't promote at all. It basically was a sink or swim condition. Now, when Witchling came out, they put money into it. They put money into that book and into promotion, and that's what helped it, helped boost it to visibility. A little while later, a few years later, they stopped promoting me, and then things began to tank, because unless you continue to promote your work and unless you continue to try and reach new readers, you're not going to get the visibility you want. There are a lot of books published every year, a lot of books out there. And it's not that you're in competition with all those other writers, it's that you're in competition for space. Bookstores don't stock most of the books that are published. You're lucky if you see the inside of a bookstore, especially now. Anyway, so number 1, you have to promote. You have to market. You may not like it. You may say, I'm a writer, I'm not a marketing person. I don't want to be a salesperson. Well, tough. If you want your book to reach people, and if you want more contracts, or if you want to make money in this as a career, You have to learn to market. So I recommend some basic marketing strategy books and maybe courses and learning the ins and outs of how this works. I came to it late and I wish I had come to it earlier. Now I have a fairly proficient idea of how to market my work. But I guarantee you that without that, I wouldn't be doing as well as I am in indie. And so, yeah, that said, you don't need to go to every conference that's out there. You don't need to spend a ton of money to start with. You need to be strategic. So, there are a lot of places to look online, a lot of marketing scams as well. So I just would caution you, talk to writers who are doing well. Get into indie author groups if you want to be an indie author and study what they say. Don't just bug them with questions. Go look up what they say. Go study some of those who have really done well and have reached out to help others. You need to do the legwork because nobody's going to do it for you. And you may get a help up at times, and I have, and I am very grateful for the help I've gotten. But in the end, you need to know what you're talking about. You need to know what this is about. So there's number one. Number two, and this is something I did not do. And part of the reason I didn't do it is because I started out professionally in a very niche market. The metaphysical nonfiction is a very small market. And to sell, you have to be approachable and available. And I was. To the point of where it overwhelmed me. I opened my life up too much to other people, and I wish I hadn't. And there's a fine line to walk between letting people know what parts of your life are like, interacting, and letting people pull on you, and letting people beg you for help, and letting people beg you for free books, and letting people basically take advantage of you. So watch how accessible and open you make your life, especially if you have kids or anything else. There are stalkers out there. And I know, I've had a couple, and they are kind of freaky, and they can be dangerous. So be aware of how much you want to interact when you start, and try to follow that line. I'm not saying don't be yourself. I'm not saying don't, interact with your readers, because you have to interact with your readers, and frankly, it's fun to interact with your readers. But know where to draw your boundaries. Decide what's comfortable for you. And if you have crippling social anxiety, which I'm lucky I do not, but I have friends who do, then you're going to have to find a way to interact with your readers without putting your mental health on the line, because that interaction is necessary now. Number 3, focus on the joy of your work. Don't get caught up by, well, I haven't hit this bestseller list. I didn't hit that one. So-and-so's selling better than I am. Her fans like her better than my fans like me. That is a recipe for disaster. Getting caught up in one-upmanship, comparing yourself to other authors and how well they're doing, it's only going to make you feel miserable. And the best way I can think of to combat this is learn how to be happy for others and use their success as a way of telling yourself, well, I'm happy for them. I want that for myself too. But I'm happy for them. You learn how to be happy for somebody else and yet have your goals and have your stepping stones. Let it fuel you into doing better for yourself rather than fuel you into being angry that somebody else has something you want. That's not going to do you any good. It's not going to help your health. It's not going to help your interaction with the writing community. Number 4, this is a big one, and I wish I had realized this early on. Don't try to be everywhere on social media. Now, this is a common thing you will hear over and over. People will tell you this, and it's very true. If you are trying to be on every platform that's out there, it's going to exhaust you, and that much bombardment by news and frivolous things and people wanting you to help them, and people wanting you to give them things, and people hating you, and people angry about this and about that. It can wear you down. I tried. I was on I was on MySpace, and then of course I was on LiveJournal, and I was on Tumblr, and then Facebook, began to grow into the behemoth it is now. So I got on Facebook, and I got on Twitter, and I got on Instagram, and I was on several other smaller platforms that failed over the years. And all I can tell you is that I've abandoned most of those. I look at what I love best, because if you're on a platform you don't love, you're not going to be able to use it very well, and it won't feel natural to you. So I looked at what I loved. It's like, I don't love Facebook, but that's where a lot of my readers are. So yeah, I'm on Facebook. Twitter I used to love until it started getting so nasty. I'm still on Twitter, but I don't do much promotion there other than feed some things over to it, because it gives me stress every time I go to Twitter and see all the crap that's going on. So I don't go there as much anymore. I am on Instagram, and that I keep pretty much for kitty pictures and pictures of food and just some promotion, but most of it's just pretty pictures that I like taking because I love taking pictures. I'm a cat lady, the crazy cat lady, and it's nice to have an outlet where I can just keep feeding pictures of my cats, where people won't think I'm just totally insane. I'm not going to comment on how true that is or not, but I keep Instagram for myself more. And I have a lot of followers there, or a number of followers, and I don't tend to pay much attention to it because it's just a fun place to post pictures for me. So most of my social media work now is on Facebook. And then I'm now branching out into YouTube because A, it is an up and coming platform. It's huge, actually. B, I like I like the ability to interact with readers without having to be face to face and be there at that moment. It's like I can talk to you, I can talk to other authors here, and I can come back later and answer questions and comments, and it doesn't feel as immediate as Facebook does or a few other places. So don't try to be on every platform. It's only going to wear you out. Pick the ones you really like, that you think you can make work, and follow those. And always, always, always have a website with up-to-date information. And I blog. I love to blog. It's like I've got a theme month that I do every month at this point, and I love that sort of interaction. To me, that's a little deeper than a 140 character tweet. I can talk about things more. I can expand on things more. And The videos are just an expansion of that. In fact, I enjoy, when I'm talking about writing tips and writing hints, I enjoy doing videos more than I enjoy writing a blog about it. So most of my writing advice is going to be on my YouTube channel. Now, number five is be nice to other authors. Now, this seems like it should be a given. And you know, it should, but it's not. Now, I'm not talking about if an author commits plagiarism or goes stalking a reader or goes stalking another author, things like that. Those are extenuating circumstances. But in the general realm of common courtesy, be very aware of, do I want to be treated the way I'm treating this other person? Which this includes not making fun of other authors' work. Don't diss their covers on Twitter. An example of what this can cost you. Some years back, there was an up-and-coming author who I knew, and she was very nice overall. And I had done some mentoring a little bit. Well, she would do snarky takes on covers on Twitter. And I warned her a couple times. I was like, you don't want to do that. You never know when you're going to have to work with an author. And if you are being an ass to them about their books, they're not going to want to work with you. They're not going to help you. Well, she didn't listen. And so fast forward a few months after that, I was running a panel at a convention. And there was room for a couple other authors on it. And so I pulled in one friend. And then I thought, well, this would be a good place for her. And I asked my friend what she thought, if she thought she'd be a good fit for our panel. And she goes, she was really dissing my cover on Twitter. And I sat there and I thought, I'm like, I'm not going to put my friend through that. You know, this other person, she's nice enough, but I don't know her as well as I know my friend. And frankly, I told her to watch out for that, and she didn't. And so I didn't offer her a spot on my panel because I wasn't going to make my friend uncomfortable. I wasn't going to reward that kind of behavior. So I guess what I'm saying is think about how you act to others and how that's going to reflect on you in a professional manner. Another case in point, many, many years ago when Night Mist came out, a reviewer on Goodreads just went hysterical over it. She hated the book. You know, it's like, okay, fine, not everybody's gonna like your work. It just happens. She wrote a horrendous review of it. Okay, that happens too. And then she put up my picture on Goodreads and started encouraging people to make fun of my looks and, you know, oh, she's a 50-year-old goth and all that. Well, that pissed me off, but there wasn't much I could do about it because Goodreads doesn't take stuff like that down. And so I went on Twitter and I told my readers, I'm well aware of what's happening because several had messaged me about this. So I said, I'm well aware of what's happening. Please do not fuel the flames. Please do not give attention to this. Just ignore it because it doesn't deserve your energy. It doesn't deserve my energy. Well, there was one other author at that time, wasn't very well known, and she joined in helping ridicule me. And I, to this day, remember her name. And I, to this day, will never do a thing or lift a finger to help that author. You know, it's like I'm very happy to help authors along as I can. And I do a lot of work paying it forward because, well, you know, it's like I got a hand up from a number of authors, and so I do what I can to help out. But do that to me? I'm not going to help. So I guess what I'm saying here is just think about how things can be taken and how it can affect your career long term. And for that matter, you know, going into that subject there, you don't go harass reviewers who give you a bad review. Yeah, they suck. I don't want to see them. I get irritated if people tag me with bad reviews. It's like, I don't want to know. You know, you can write them. It's your right to write them, but they're for readers. They're not for me. So no, don't tag me with reviews. And write them if you feel you have to. But as authors, we do not go harassing reviewers. And this has happened time and again, and it's usually with newer authors. But I will tell you, do not do this. It is really bad form. It will get you a bad reputation, and it will get you a lack of readers. When readers see authors doing this, they pull back and they go, I don't want to read their books. You know, and frankly, I do too. It's like, I do not want to read books by an asshole author. So, behavior, you know. Yeah, go and yell about politics if you want. I do. On Twitter, I'm very vehement about politics, or I have been up until recently. I realized I needed to calm down my stress levels, so I'm avoiding that as much as possible. Everybody has opinions. Everybody has a stance. If it's important to you, then you need to put that first. It's like gay rights are very important to me. I'm bi. It impacts my identity. You know, human rights are important to me. And so I will speak out at the risk of alienating some readers. And I have alienated some. But I feel that some things are bigger. Some things are bigger than selling books. And to me, human rights and women's rights and civil rights, you know, all of these are vital parts of the human experience. So I do speak out about those, but I try not to be a jerk to just people in general, because it doesn't pay for your career, and it's not a good look. It doesn't make you look like someone worth reading or worth knowing. So there, 5 mistakes that are easy to make and that I wish I would have known for some of them. Because I don't think I ever was really an asshole, you know? Or at least I try not to be. I can be if I want to, but I try not to be. But yeah, 5 mistakes to avoid at the beginning of your writing career that will make life easier in the long run. You have to promote. Watch how much you put out of your life, about your life into the public's eye. Know what you're comfortable with. Focus on the joy of your work and don't get caught up in the comparison game. Don't try to be everywhere on social media. Don't be an asshole. So that's it for today. And next week we are going to talk about 5 things that you can do to sabotage your career, or that you might not want to do in order to not sabotage your career. And I will be recording that shortly, and it will be out next week. So talk to you later, and I guess that's it for now.